So we're coming into fight week for Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte 2. Now, this fight's come about very, very quick. Obviously, there hasn't been a great deal of build-up in the run-up to it because it was kind of a back-and-forth type of thing. You know, Dillian Whyte was digging his heels in over certain things, rematches and stuff like that. And it took a little bit longer to get this fight over the line than they did, which meant that they didn't have a great deal of time to promote it. So it's come up very quick. But Dillian Whyte versus Anthony Joshua. I have to say, I'm looking forward to this fight. I am, because it's interesting for both guys. You could argue that this really is, in many cases, a loser leaves town type of fight. Because with Dillian Whyte, if he takes Nell against Joshua, well, you know, where else was Dillian Whyte going to get a big fight from? You know, he wasn't going to get a shot at any of the champions. Excuse me. He wasn't going to... He was really only going to be fed to contenders for probably not even close to the money that he's getting to fight Anthony Joshua. So this was the only real fight for him. If he loses this, I mean, that he really is out in the wilderness. But you could say the same about Anthony Joshua. I mean, if he loses this, he's got some big problems. So it's a big fight for both guys, and the winner can move on to bigger and better things. Obviously, with Joshua, there's a Deontay Wilder fight, it seems likely, in the future. You know, it seems all but a done deal now that he'll fight Wilder next if he wins. So for him, you could say that's even more added pressure. In terms of the fight, as I said, I'm looking forward to it because, yes, we've seen it many years ago now, back in 2015. We're many years removed since then. We're nearly 8 years removed since then, actually. So they're very different fighters than they were when they locked horns December, I think it was December 12th or December 10th, 2015, thereabouts. And that was for a British title. Neither guy had any fights against anyone with a pulse. Neither guys are being talked about at the time of going on to world level, which they both inevitably did. Now, both guys have lost a couple of times. In fact, they both have 3 losses. So now it's the big thing of, okay, well, where are both these guys at? On the surface, you would say that Joshua has more left, certainly physically, than Dillian Whyte at this stage, and I tend to agree with that. In fact, I actually think that Joshua still has quite a good bit left physically. His biggest problem is the mental scars, certainly stemming from the Ruiz fight. Some state that it goes back as far as the Klitschko fight. You know, that could be very well the case. So with Joshua, it's mental. With Dillian Whyte, it seems more physical. Both these guys, I think, will give us a good fight. I think that this fight, if I was a betting man, I would be saying it's a very safe bet that we see a stoppage, that we see a knockout in this fight. I think both guys have a chance to win. Obviously, I'll talk about it more in a prediction video later on next week. Obviously, it's Friday, the time we're recording this. We're actually 8 days away officially from the fight, so I'll talk about the prediction maybe on Sunday or Monday. But for now, we're going to look at 3 reasons why either guy can win. This is Joshua's 3 reasons why he beats Dillian Whyte and why Dillian Whyte loses to Anthony Joshua. Obviously, I like to do it for both fighters. I'm not just going to do it for one without doing the other. So we'll do it for Dillian Whyte as well. That is a slightly more difficult one, given the fact that I think Dillian Whyte has more. He has more weaknesses in his game that I think Joshua will be able to exploit than Joshua in his game for Dillian Whyte to exploit. And obviously, if a guy won the first fight by stoppage, albeit nearly 8 years ago, you would still have a certain degree of confidence on picking this guy to win again. You know, and it's just the way it is. If it had been a closely run, nip and tuck fight many years ago, you'd be saying, maybe a bit different. But with Joshua, I mean, he'll open as the favourite, and rightfully so. A couple of reasons why I think he beats Dillian Whyte. Well, the first reason is a pretty obvious one. If anyone has watched Dillian Whyte in the subsequent years since the Anthony Joshua fight, you will have seen that even in the fights he's won, he's had to pick himself up off the canvas, which is not a particularly good sign when you're going in there against Anthony Joshua, who is one of the better punchers in the heavyweight division, and Joshua can punch with both hands. He's not a Deontay Wilder, who is a right-hand heavy puncher, who really doesn't have a left hook. He doesn't really have a left hand to speak of. Joshua has knocked people out with left hooks. He's knocked people out with right hands. He's hurt them with both. Joshua, when he wants to, when he steps on the gas, can knock you out with either hand. Now, Dillian Whyte, he's been dropped. He's been hurt. He's pretty much been hurt in virtually every fight he's been in since the Joshua fight, apart from a couple of fights which was against lower level. When he's gone up levels in the heavyweight division, he's been pretty much hurt in every single fight, which is a worry. As I said, especially if you're going in there with someone like Anthony Joshua, who is a very, very good puncher, who can hurt guys. And with Joshua, lately he's been trying to be the boxer, but I think in this fight we're going to see more of the boxer-puncher. And I think he's going to focus more on the punching, which is a problem for Dillian Whyte, as you saw by some of the videos. If they are in the video, because obviously you never know with the old C word, whether I might be allowed to keep those clips in, but if they are, you'll see on screen. And Dillian Whyte being dropped, being hurt. That's the first reason. Now, if you looked at the clips I showed on screen there of Dillian Whyte, well, there's 3 knockout defeats to Joshua, to Povetkin, and to Fury. What's the 3 thing those knockout defeats have in common? What's the common punch in amongst the 3 of them? It is, in fact, the uppercut. That is a punch that Dillian Whyte is increasingly vulnerable to. It's a punch that he really seems to struggle to telegraph and struggle to defend against. What is a punch that a lot of people don't tend to speak enough about when they talk about Anthony Joshua and his strengths? Joshua has a good left hook. He's got a very good right hand. But his uppercut is tremendous. I mean, Anthony Joshua has such an underrated, powerful uppercut. It's almost criminal. When you see how he sets it up with his jab, if you look at the Kubrat Pulev knockout, now he hurt Kubrat Pulev several times in that fight. But in the 9th round, when he finally got to Kubrat Pulev, it was a jab, come right uppercut, which snapped the head back of Kubrat Pulev. Joshua followed up with some more uppercuts, and that was the beginning of the end there for Kubrat Pulev. He's used that in several fights, and even if he's missed with the uppercut, you can see that he's looking to try and set it up, and you can see the power that's in it. If you ask me, he doesn't use it enough in certain fights. Against Alexander Usyk, it was a punch that, certainly if you're an Alexander Usyk who fights out of the southpaw stance and can put the earmuffs on from time to time, that punch being thrown from the orthodox stance is a vital shot to have in your arsenal. It's a vital shot to use, and I don't know why Joshua didn't use it really at all against Alexander Usyk. He really should have, because it was there to use, and it's a punch that I think, I'm not saying that one shot would have been the difference between Joshua winning and losing, but it certainly could have deterred Alexander Usyk a little bit more. It could have made Joshua a little bit more game to go and engage with him. It could have actually, maybe said that Joshua could have said to himself, look, I'm having success with this, maybe I should try a few little different things. It could have made the fight closer. I'm not saying that one shot would have won Joshua the fight, but it certainly could have made it closer, more competitive. And it's a shot that Joshua does throw. It's a good shot, it's a powerful shot, and it's a shot that, frankly, Dillian Whyte seems to have no defense against. So you're talking about these 3 reasons: a bad chin, or certainly a dented chin in Dillian Whyte, and a guy who's open to an uppercut, of which Joshua throws a very good uppercut. And that's not looking good for Dillian Whyte. And the third reason why Dillian Whyte loses to Anthony Joshua is Joshua has a very good, when he wants to use it, a very good inside game. He throws very good combinations. He throws very good short shots. Dillian Whyte, although he is someone who, at long range, you can outbox him, or you can certainly mess him around. His balance at long range is not particularly good. But I find that when Dillian Whyte gets up close, he is very dangerous. But you can certainly fight on the inside with Dillian Whyte. Plenty of fighters have done that and had success with it. So as dangerous as it is for Anthony Joshua and a lot of opponents to engage up close with Dillian Whyte, because a lot of times that's what Dillian Whyte actually wants you to do, he is vulnerable up close. And Joshua's game up close, take the Alexander Usyk fight out of the equation, it is actually quite good. It is quite good, but he needs to be careful. He needs to be very careful up close, because when he's gone and tried to finish guys up close, Andy Ruiz just springs to mind. We all know what happened there. He needs to not get overexcited. It's probably the best way I could describe it. Let the work flow. See what you can do up close. I think his shots are better up close anyway than Dillian Whyte's. And if you buzz the guy, make sure he's really out of it before you start going and trying to, throw the kitchen sink at the guy and then get countered. If you look at the Andy Ruiz fight, the first knockdown, which obviously Joshua scored, it was a lovely short left hook. Ruiz has a good chin, but Joshua was able to drop him with that short left hook. Very good puncher is Anthony Joshua up close. Short punches are very good. So there are 3 reasons why I feel he'll beat Dillian Whyte. So with Dillian Whyte, there is 3 reasons how I can foresee him beating Anthony Joshua. You'll have to wait for them on a separate video. That'll be out either Saturday or Sunday. So stay tuned and wait for that. But let me know what your thoughts are. 3 reasons why Dillian Whyte loses to Anthony Joshua again. Do you agree with them? Do you disagree? At the end of the day, I don't want to go... If I went into every reason, it wouldn't be 3 reasons. It'd be a lot of reasons. So I try and keep it to 3, and I don't want these videos to go way over time. So I keep it for 3, and they're the 3 reasons. Dillian Whyte's chin, his punch resistance, his vulnerability to the uppercut, which Joshua throws well, and Joshua's short shots. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about Dillian Whyte? Do you think you can find 3 reasons? I'm looking. But do you think you can find 3 reasons why he beats Anthony Joshua? Let me know. Smash the like button, lads and lassies. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace.